The Cave That Whispers Back. In the hills of rural Montana, an old cave was known by locals as the Echo Mouth. It was just a legend, kids said, but 14-year-old Mason wanted to see for himself. On a crisp fall afternoon, he slipped away from his family's cabin and hiked to the ridge. The cave entrance was narrow, hidden by tangled shrubs. When Mason stepped inside, his flashlight revealed damp stone walls carved by time. Deeper in, he said aloud, "Hello?" And a strange thing happened. The echo came back, different. "Hello?" he had said. The cave whispered back, "Why are you here?" Mason froze. He tried again. "Who's there?" The cave whispered, "One who waited." Fear prickled down his back. He thought maybe it was a trick, some weird echo effect. But the voice kept responding, intelligently, almost like it knew what he was thinking. Soon Mason discovered carvings, ancient symbols on the walls. The deeper he went, the more the cave spoke. It told stories of a lost civilization, a people who had made the cave their sanctuary. Mason wasn't sure how he understood them, but he felt the meanings. The final chamber glowed with moss and crystals. The voice spoke again. "You are the first in 400 years." Mason left the cave changed. When he returned the next day with others, the voice was silent. The symbols were gone. Only Mason had heard the whispers, and they never left his mind.
Trapped beneath. Casey and her older brother Aaron were expert climbers. For spring break, they tackled the Devil's Maw, a sprawling cave system in New Mexico known for its complexity. They signed in at the ranger post, packed gear, and descended through the jagged entrance. 3 hours in, Aaron found a narrow shaft leading down to a hidden chamber. "Let's check it out," he said. Casey hesitated, but followed. As they squeezed through, a rumble shook the ground. The passage collapsed behind them. They were trapped. Aaron tried not to panic. "We'll find another exit. These caves are full of tunnels." But the tunnels twisted endlessly, and their flashlight batteries ran low. Water dripped from the ceiling. Time blurred. After a full day underground, dehydration set in. Casey started hallucinating. She thought she saw light. "Over there," she cried. Aaron didn't believe it, until he smelled fresh air. Following the faint breeze, they crawled upward through a natural chimney. It led to a small exit, half covered by stones. With the last of their strength, they pushed through into daylight. They collapsed outside, scratched, filthy, but alive. They'd only been missing for 2 days, but it felt like a lifetime. But they had never seen this beautiful place before. The Whispering Cave. It all started with a map. Tim wasn't looking for adventure. He had only come to the small mountain town of Ash Hollow to clear her late grandfather's cabin. But tucked inside a dusty book on the shelf was a folded piece of paper, aged, brittle, and hand-drawn. At the top, in faded ink, were the words, "Do not enter unless you're ready to hear the truth." He should have thrown it away, but something about the scribbled lines and marked X at the bottom of the ridge tugged at her. Her grandfather had always been eccentric, talking about energy fields and places that remember. But he wasn't the type to joke. 2 days later, Tim stood at the mouth of a narrow cave deep in the forest. The wind had picked up, whistling softly between the trees like a warning. His flashlight flickered as she stepped inside, and the temperature dropped sharply. The air felt thick, like walking underwater. The cave stretched deep and narrow. Strange symbols carved into the stone walls glowed faintly under her flashlight. They weren't any language she knew. They looked old, older than old. He walked slowly, his footsteps echoing too long behind her, as if someone or something were walking a beat behind. Then came the whisper. At first, he thought it was the wind again, but it formed words. The deeper he went into the cave, the more frequent the whispers became. Suddenly his flashlight flickered and then went out, but after a little effort, the flashlight came back on. Then he saw a diary sticking out from under the sand. He opened it with interest and flipped through the pages, and an ID card fell out of it. When he took the ID card in his hand, it was his own and it was very worn out. He couldn't believe his eyes. He hurriedly searched his bag for the ID card, but he couldn't find it.